I'm Brianna Belsky, and I'm a senior on the women's soccer team. I would like to thank all of our current PEF members for your support of the Bears Club. Your contributions have made it possible for me and other student athletes here at Lenoir-Rhyne to fulfill our dreams of participating in intercollegiate athletics. If you are not currently a Bears Club member, I hope you will take this opportunity to join our team today. Thanks again for your support, and go Bears!
Well, thank you, John. Obviously, first and foremost on our minds is Neil McGahee, our athletic director. Thoughts and prayers of our football family and entire athletic department with him at this time. And that just compounds and adds to a tough weekend, obviously. But Old 46 is in our thoughts and prayers. Reflecting back on the contest Saturday, you need to give, the first thing we have to do is give credit where credit is due. North Greenville played exceptional football. They took it to us in every phase of the game, and quite frankly, we didn't coach well enough, we didn't play well enough, we didn't perform well enough, and they beat us in every phase of the game. So, tip of the cap to them, and well done. They did a great job. We knew going into that contest as coaches what a talented group that was, and what a veteran team that was, and we knew it was a potential booby trap we were stepping into down there in Tigerville. They had a lot of guys back and a lot of highly acclaimed players back, and they were very well prepared, and quite frankly, I think they were more excited to see us than we were to see them. And we did not play on the edge, we did not play with precision, and we did not play to our capability. That rests first of all on my shoulders, and then it extends all the way through the coaching staff, and then on to every guy that steps between those lines. So it was a collective effort, and none of us were good enough, quite frankly, Saturday night, and that's just where reality is. So there's certainly a lot of teachable moments, and it wasn't all dark and dreary, and there were some good things that happened in the course of that game that were shadowed by a lot of the other stuff. But we weren't good enough. Defensively, we gave up over 225 yards rushing and passing. I believe it was close to that. Gave up over 66 yards of play. We couldn't stop the run. We couldn't stop the pass. We only got one takeaway defensively. We didn't get any stops in critical situations. They were 50% on third down and 100% on fourth downs. Flip it around offensively, and although there was some success running the football, we ran for 240 plus yards in the first half. We couldn't finish drives. We had some penalties that set us back and stopped drives, and then on the flip side of that, we turned the ball over twice, which can't happen. And like I said, we did not get it done offensively in the critical situations. You look at third down and fourth down, we were 3 for 12 for our third down conversions and 0 for 3 on fourth down conversions. So anytime you're getting your tails kicked in like that, it's going to be a long Saturday night, and they did. And the kicking game was no better. They got after us there as well, and most of it was self-inflicted. We have to be able to catch the ball in field kicks. We dropped 2 punts that we were fortunate enough to get back, and we dropped a kickoff return from a veteran guy that's been doing that, and looked like it was our first time out there. And we dropped and gave away the opening possession of the second half, which is typically the most important possession of a football game. So that there's a lot of bad things there. There were some good performances. Some guys stood out. I thought Kyle Duggar played exceptional football at corner for us. He also blocked 2 kicks. He also forced a fumble. For a redshirt freshman, Kyle's doing an exceptional job. I thought C.J. Cody played well at corner for us as well. Got beat on one fade route towards the end, but he played well. And offensively, Joe Ray played exceptional football right tackle as we're accustomed to. He got beat a couple times too, which is not typical for Joe, but he did have some highlight type plays. And Chris Dan Ivory ran for over 100 yards for us, a slot back, and even though Evans' numbers weren't prolific by any stretch of running or certainly passing, he did operate well within confines of the option game, and there's some growth occurring there. Michael Patrick got dinged up in the course of the game, played well when he was out there. Kevin Eckel, between the two of those B-backs, are a great 1-2 punch. And I don't have the numbers exactly, but I believe they rushed for close to 140 yards between the two of them. So we're getting great production out of that position. So, like I said, you learn some valuable lessons. You learn about yourselves. We learn that we are an inexperienced football team. We learn that there's some things to get fixed, and I think now our players realize that. And it's time to go back to the drawing board and get back on the practice field here this afternoon and get ready for Tusculum. Looking forward to Tusculum. Again, it's a team that's been exceptionally hot. They finished the year last year on a roll last season. They ended up winning, I believe, their last 5 games, going back to the record from last season. They finished 3rd in our conference a year ago. They started off with another win here at Virginia Wise to start the year, and then they lost this past week in a home against the talented Virginia State team, who we know how talented they are because we played them a year ago. We're looking at a dangerous team. They have a lot of playmakers on both sides of the ball. Their skill, their return game. Certainly their receivers are prolific. Coach DeBusk and his staff do a great job of spreading the ball around offensively, and they're a challenge that way as far as defending the pass. So they have, I believe, 6 starters back on defense. So they have some guys back there that have been out there between lines and won't be shocked by what they see either. So again, we know we're going into, again, on the road again for the 3rd week in a row is another challenge for us, and we're facing a talented and difficult opponent. That being said, we're excited for conference play to begin. We haven't played a conference game yet, and so a lot of our goals are still out there, and they're all on the table. So we'll be excited to open conference play, over in Greenville, and I know our guys will. The focus now is internal. Not so much on Tusculum. We know there's going to be another opponent across from us in different colored jerseys. Our opponent, quite frankly, is ourselves today at practice and on Wednesday. We need to get better, and we need to improve, and we need to be excited to play when the time comes Saturday. That being said, I'll take any questions going back to last week, and looking forward certainly here towards Tusculum.
Silver lining in any way to for such a young team, as you've said in the past, to get that out of the way?
Well, I mean, you never want it to happen. I mean, every team in the country would like to win every game, but it's inevitable, and it's especially inevitable with a young football team. And there's going to be some growing pains along the way. There's a ton of things to look at on that tape that, hey, if you would have done this, or you should have done this. Hey, you're playing in man coverage. You can't have your eyes on the quarterback when you're in man coverage. Guys lose their discipline, lose the fundamentals associated with their position, and then the ball matriculates down the field. Conversely, offensively, if you bust an assignment or you don't hold on the ball, then the drive stops. So there's a ton of lessons to be learned. I do think that there's some. The pain of losing is so much greater than the thrill of winning, and the pain of losing is so difficult for these players to put all their time in year round, and for the coaches to spend all these hours in, that it should, it hurts so bad that you're desperate to fix it, and I think our guys, if you saw them come back out Sunday night and we practiced Sunday night, there was a lot of enthusiasm and energy. And guys are anxious to, I don't want to say right the ship. I mean, we've lost one conference game. Well, we lost one regular season game, I should say, in the last 23 contests. So everyone, we're spoiled. Our fan base is spoiled. Our players are spoiled. Everyone's spoiled because that's usually not where reality sits for many teams in the country. Fortunately, it does here, and we're trying to keep the bar set high, and our guys are excited to do so.
Coach, what do you feel like you learned about your team Saturday night?
Well, I learned we need to block better. We need to tackle better. We need to be in tighter coverage, and we need to be a better fundamental football team, offensively, defensively, in the kicking game. There isn't a magic bean you can go eat and fix it. It's guys doing what their coach do. It's coaches keeping the standard, and us playing at a higher level. And some of that comes with experience and being out there for the first time in some positions. And guys are, boy, this is a little different than it was in high school or on the scout team.
Athletic trainers were working on Evan's neck a little bit on Saturday. Is that a concern, or are there any other injuries?
I can't comment on injuries because of the HIPAA laws. All right, I'll say that Evan appears to be fine, and we expect him to be full go this Saturday.
When your team, which of course runs the ball nearly exclusively gets down with that kind of a gap. For example, on Saturday.
Yeah.
Is there ever the urge to start throwing the ball a little more there? I think you guys had 8 or 9 pass attempts. I mean, is that ever something that runs through your head with the style of offense that you run?
Not with our current personnel, no. And we attempted more than 10, actually. Some of them turned into runs, you know, we were flushed out and scrambled. So I believe we called 13. All that being said, it wasn't entirely productive, obviously. And it's not, you just don't pin it on the quarterback. Obviously, there's receivers twice that run the routes at the wrong depth or the wrong route. And then there's protection issues, and then you got to throw the ball well, and it is a quarterback issue at times. And, you know, so it's the, you know, it all is coordinated, obviously, and that's not playing to our strengths. I don't buy into the notion that you need to throw the ball when you're behind. That's a myth. We've led the nation in big plays here the way we do play. All right, so there's plenty of opportunities in the run game. It's not like pro football. If you get a first down in college football, the clock stops. It's different. You know, so all we got to do is get a first down and the clock stops. So we just got to keep doing what we do and stay true to our identity. And I've been in situations where we've been down 21 at other schools and come back and win the game in the fourth quarter running what we run. I don't totally subscribe to that theory. Do we need to be more efficient throwing the football? We'd all love to be. And I think our guys are working hard to get there. We're not there yet.
Coach, you got a handful of young guys on the team, and I know today's not the first day you're getting back together. Can you just talk a little bit about how they responded when you guys got together on Sunday? Well,
I think, you know, as I alluded to earlier, we had an excellent practice Sunday night. I was actually shocked where the energy level was at, you know, considering what just happened and losing to North Greenville by such a margin. Guys just, I thought they'd be a little bit of shock, you know, but they bounced back. And the one thing about young players and college-age students, for that matter, they're more resilient than we are as old coaches. You know, they bounce back faster than we do. So I was encouraged with the energy level of practice. I think they'll be excited to play this Saturday and right the ship, so to speak, and get back to our winning ways. And as we all know, that's easier said than done. There's a good Tusculum team waiting on the other side of that, and they got coaches and guys on scholarship too.
To continue along with that, you kind of talked about it, it's been a while since most of the young men in our program have experienced something like Saturday. So how do you approach it at halftime and then after the game because there was it seemed like a lot of indecision on both sides of the ball on the field and maybe on the sidelines not enough spark that we've seen in the past. So how do you approach?
Well, like I said, the first thing is that North Greenville team is the best football team we've played since we've been here. That's the best team we've played. And they played exceptional football. They played very, very well. I imagine if you talked to Coach Farrington, he said that's the best that we've played in maybe since he's been there. And they were on the edge and they played well. Like I said, you give credit to them. I didn't sense any indecision on our part. I sense, and at halftime we were down 11. I mean, the sky's not falling. You know, we're just fine. I thought we did some good. The plan was right. The plan wasn't executed, and we need to coach better and we need to play better. And it's really quite simple when you get right down to it. You know, we need to improve, and a good team will teach you those lessons when you're not there. And like I said, to add on to that, we need guys to perform. You know, they got to step up, and when their number's called, they got to make a play. And they got to make it within the confines of the defense or within the details of the offense. And as soon as guys start trying to step out of that, and that's what happens on some of those long runs they had with their back is, you know, defensive football in particular, if one guy is out of the gap and the guy tries to overcompensate for him and fill that gap, then everyone's out of gaps, and then all of a sudden there's these big seams. And that's an issue. Or conversely in coverage, if one guy is out of coverage, then we're going to get exposed. And it all has to work together. That's why football is the greatest game in the world. That's why it's the ultimate team game. Is one guy screws up the coverage or one guy doesn't fit the gap right defensively, then you have a chance to go for a big play. And so we need to play together better, you know, in every facet of the game.
Coach, you mentioned problems in the kick game, particularly in the kick return game. How do you address that with the players during the course of the ball game, and then how do you tackle that in practice this week?
Well, they weren't going to kick it deep to us. They didn't want to kick it to our returners, and so they're pooch kicking it, and we caught the first couple. We looked shaky doing it, and then in the first kickoff of the second half, then we just made a real poor play on the football, quite frankly. So, some of that's personnel, some of that, and again, these guys are 18 to 22-year-olds college students. No one's trying to, burn them at the stake here. Okay, they're trying the best they can. Okay, we got to coach them better. We got to give them a chance to succeed, and then they got to make the plays when called upon.
Traditionally, Coach DeBusk's offensive scheme's been much similar to what Saturday night was. You expect mainly the same kind of passes in the flat.
Let me put it this way. Going back to North Greenville, Nielsen Hughes is as fine a quarterback as we've seen. He didn't miss any throws. He's 22 for 30 on the night, and they were deep, they were short, they were over our head, they were everywhere, and he didn't. And some were pinpoint. We're in coverage, and he's sticking them in there. So he's a great player. That's a problem. Because we weren't in a we're pressuring. We can't get to the quarterback. We're playing coverage. We can't defend it. There was challenges because their receivers are good. Their quarterback's talented, and then to add on to that, then their interior offensive line and their back did a nice job in the run game. So it's a nightmare when they have it all going. That's tough to defend. And when you have a senior quarterback that's played about 40 games, that's especially tough because you can't fool them. It's like a point guard in basketball that's seen everything. He can control the game, and that's what their quarterback did. Now I'm sure Tusculum. I mean, obviously everyone's doing their due diligence and they're watching that tape 100 times, like we're watching all the tape we can. And I'm sure there's going to see some things on that tape after our last two contests. Quite frankly, they're going to encourage them. So like I said, we need to get better and play better and maybe move some chess pieces around them to make it a little tougher on them.
Was there any, the kid that ran, they shot the gap on the snap a couple of times and caused that one fall? Mm-hmm. Was there something in the cadence they picked up on? Or
there could have been, quite possibly. There could have been. They did a nice job with, that particular pressure obviously caused a turnover. There was a couple that were offsides on them were called. But they might have been on to Evans' cadence, and quite frankly, the one they shot, we got to do, it's more of a technique issue, if anything. We didn't, they exposed a gap that we didn't get blocked. Yeah. And if our eyes are right and our heads up and our splits are right, that doesn't happen, regardless of time and up snap counts. And if we, it's would have been, could have been, should have been. If the ball does get handed off, then there's no one tackling our fullback. On that particular play. But, that he hits us in the backfield and we made our footwork wasn't precise at quarterback in that play. The exchange was a little tighter than it needed to be, and they made a great play and timed it up. So it's football, it's football. It's not perfect.
One or two specifics that you're really trying to have your team focus on in practice this week in anticipation of Tusculum? Whether that's personnel that they have, you're just able to pinpoint a couple things.
Well, I think when you look at their offense, they have a couple big play receivers, and their quarterback is young. He threw for 477 yards in the first game against Virginia Wise, so which is like the 8th best in the history of Tusculum football, and they have a history of throwing around. I think he'd have some targets. Justin Houston is an all-conference player back for him. He's also a nightmare in the kicking game. He's just an explosive player. And defensively, they're talented. They had the conference defensive player of the week the first week against Virginia Wise, and they got a bunch of guys back. I'm not sad to see Kashad Lyons not there anymore, who's in the NFL, I believe. Who was playing defensive end for him last year. So, but they have a talented crew. Coach DeBusk and staff do a tremendous job. He's the winningest coach in the history of Tusculum University. And he did a heck of a coaching job last year, getting them to finish as strong as they did. Because they started slow, but they finished very strong and got on a roll. So, we know they're a dangerous opponent, but like I said, so much of the focus for us right now needs to be internal. We have things to fix, and we need to get better defensively in the kicking game and in pieces offensively. Okay, with that being said, I appreciate everyone's attendance today. We're looking forward to get back on track this Saturday at Tusculum, conference opener. We'll be excited to play. I know our guys will be anxious to put the pads back on and play to our potential, which we did not do last week. So again, look forward to seeing everyone there. Bear Nation travels well. Let's get over there to Tennessee and support the Bears. Thank you. Go Bears.